Hi guys, it's Dansman Winsley again. What's up guys? Coach Cam here. We're gonna go through some overview of our training cycle. Athlete up, Justin Holland. It's gonna be taking his talent to the next level at Brunswick Community College. Our main focus with Justin was not just increase his strength and power development, speed and agility are the things that we're always focused on for athletic endeavors, but Justin came in with a low back strain and back injury.
The main thing is my back is not hurting anymore. I couldn't play last year, even though we didn't play a full season. I got hurt the first game because of my back.
Justin, previous to tremor flex effect, could not breathe on his own and struggled with some basic functions like eating, drawing, coloring, and things like that. He would agree with you. Justin was a great athlete previous to stepping the doors. I worked with Justin, crazy enough, years ago as a youth athlete when I was training out of the barn. The grind is real. So now it's really cool to be able to come full circle when I had the opportunity to take Justin on as a client, and then, realizing what the things Justin was dealing with, as well as knowing his previous history of being an athletic guy. So with that said, Justin had 0 registered home runs. Post working together, Justin hit 8 home runs this year.
Get out of here, baby! Get out of here, ball! Bring it, baby! Get out of here! Get up, ball.
And I want to say he finished like a freaking crazy 650 batting average, which I also want to say is a record for Greenfield High School. This is something that has been persistent for a long time for him. So really, anytime we're going about the training process, we use our hierarchy of needs. So we look at the needs of the sport, right? What are the specific needs that the sport requires to be a high level athlete, or whatever skills or attributes are necessary, but also what are the specific limiters for the athlete. So for Justin's case, it was back, and back pain is something that we see often with rotational athletes that maybe are underdeveloped or maybe don't have a lot of training exposure. So if we think about it in training in rotation sport, you're creating a lot of torque, a lot of force and high velocity. So we've eliminated the back pain, we increased his strength, his power, and let's look at some of the ways that we did that. Right now what we're looking at is just some single leg hurdle hops. This is a great unilateral exercise focused on some of the big components of being a good athlete. Proprioception, there was a drop. Balance, stability. Here we have a rotational body solid movement. Again, when we're focused with rebuilding the low back, we have the lower back musculature that we really want to focus on and build. So right here we have a hip articulation. Again, working on the hips, and I'll pause here and talk for a minute. As human beings, we don't walk around like Gumby, right? We don't walk around like Stickman. There's rotation happening both internally and externally. A big component that we've seen, that I've seen working with rotational athletes, is your hips, your posterior chain, your quads, your hamstrings, your core. All those things can be limiters, and we talk a lot about reverse engineering for athlete success. So if I have back pain, it not always is very specific to just the back muscles or structure. It's most likely somewhere else along the way. We got to go find that value. We also like to call the bridge theory, right? You've got your bridge structure. Well, there's also the I-beams, there's the cables. You might see a fault right on the bridge, let's say a crack, but it might be an I-beam problem. It might be a cable structure problem. So if we don't reverse engineer and find the root cause, we're never going to fix this problem. So here's some ways we did that. Bending hips, glutes, got to get the core and the back right, using a overhead position with some margin. Here's some general training. So we'll just work on building tissue density up so that we can do the things we need to do in sport. Swing and throw hard. We've got some overhead plyometrics. Again, I'll pause on this. This is a sexy movement that if you don't know, give her a try. And the goal of this exercise is anti-rotational component, glute, isolation, as well as activation, and then we're still working on press mechanics. So we're just knocking out a myriad of really good stuff with one specific exercise. If you don't know what flex is about, you will know. So here we go, we have some advanced explosive perturbations, working on anti-rotation. Again, we're in a bird dog position with our hands down the floor, still working on stabilization, working on that shoulder girdle. Woo, go ahead and give that a try, folks. There's some advanced core work for you. Look, I tell the athletes all the time, if you want to look good on the beach, right, you know what I'm saying, if you want to just use the abs as a washboard, you can do Russian, twist, and sit-ups and crunches, toe to bar, things like that. If you want to be a great athlete, learn to stabilize first. If you can't hold a really good plane, if you cannot stabilize your midline and do dynamic activities with the feet and the hands, that's where you should be working on first. That's the low-hanging fruit. There we go. So we added a foot step march in there. Justin will say he came up with that idea. I might give him a little credit on that one. He's a pretty creative guy. And it's really cool to work with athletes that are gifted because they're going to challenge the session. They're going to challenge the workout. And I like when athletes can bring some input and feedback. And this guy was training early, so man, for his brain to even function at that hour was impressive. So here we go. Look, man, this is another exercise here. This GHD assisted, fallout is just bomb. So really, we've got a Nordic curl going on, and man, this is just a beautiful exercise. We're starting with PVC pole. We take a lot of movement patterns like this if we're trying to develop knee health or hip health or improve back function. But if you are a human being or a rotational athlete, or I'll say this, if you're a power athlete, if power is a goal in your program and you're not developing your glutes, you should be working on that. So the posterior chain, specifically your hamstrings and your glutes, and high-level athletes, or high-level athletes that we all work with, are extremely developed. So you want to build the backside. It looks good on the beach, and it helps you hit home runs. Single leg unilateral training, working on balance and stability, just to make it look easy. General mobilizations, man, we love to implement prehab routine movements and therapy movements prior to our session, getting the soft tissue work in, using our warm-up protocol. Ramp, raise, activate, mobilize, and potentiate. Look, I'll say this too. Look at this exercise. Body weight strength is undervalued in the game. Everybody wants to know what weight they're lifting. If you're not a master of your body weight, focus there. There we go. Here we go again. Justin working on that elastic phase. This is something in one of our later phases of training. Just like anything, it should be progressive. If you want to improve on something, you really should try and squeeze all the nutrients of every phase of a training cycle. So the exercise looking at here, these box drops, we're using a single leg. So that's a lot of force and deload coming on one leg. He's got to be able to organize, load, and explode. That's how athletic function works. And then elevate to the next bite height, or box height. So this is really something we implemented for Justin as we're working on that peak power development of just being super elastic and being able to absorb and then redistribute that force at a high level. There we go again. This was in some of our French contrast training. I love the Olympic lifts, but if we're really talking about building power, we did very little Olympic lifts with Justin. The kid hit 8 home runs this year. I mean, you tell me what you get from that. Here we go again, contrast sprint. Woo! So specifics in sport is crucial. So here's an example of another dime. And I know it's hard to pick, there's so many, right? We've got the band hooked up. So again, that is a contrast. It's gonna pull Justin off balance. Offset training if he's not in a really good position. So in baseball, it's really if you think about it from the global perspective, it's a transverse movement. We're gonna load up into the frontal plane. We're gonna use that transverse plane to end up in that sagittal plane. So with that said, if we're in a peak of true intent phase, we wanna make sure the exercise selection is special to the sport demand. So we've got this banded up here. We've have it ipsilateral loaded, one side. The side he's driving to has a weight, and we're not really worried about heavy loading here. Our main goal of this exercise is driving from the box. So this was an exercise we really want to come across as far as throwing and rotational power. So the goal is strike the box aggressively, also working on balance, stability, and proprioception. We want to see energy transfer from that back leg to that forward leg, and then him being able to organize, load, and explode athletically. You guys have seen some examples of how we went, through our training process with Justin, and Justin did a really good job. He showed up, he put the work in. That's the first thing I like to tell all athletes. There's no silver bullet, there's no golden gun when it comes to increasing your performance. You have to put the effort in. Justin committed with his prehab, Justin committed with his therapy, he committed with his strength training, with his nutrition, as well as his recovery and his mindset. If you can put all those facets together and you're working with someone that builds Terminators, you have a really good shot at increasing your performance. So if you want to increase your power, if you want to increase your speed, if you want to take your game to the next level, first off, come check out Flex Effect. Like, subscribe, show some love to this channel so you guys can continue to learn how we go about building our athletes out and how we take our athletes to the next level. So looking forward to sharing more information, and there's a lot of stuff still open to hear from over the years. So stay tuned in, guys. Keep checking out all this drippy content we got coming out, and you already know, man, stay flexing.